Hello, and welcome to the Stacking Dingers Show. I am your host, Matthew, aka Sheep, aka Dark Sheep, and we are here at Stacking Dingers to provide you with everything Underdog, Major League Baseball, and today we are overreacting after week one. We'll do a little bit look back at our draft season still, and tonight Nez is here. Welcome, Nez.
Yes, I am. Hello, Matthew, aka Sheep, aka Dark Sheep. Love the energy. I'm excited to overreact with you. As you know, I am very prone to some recency bias. I proudly let it seep into my brain, and I am excited to talk about everything that we know will take place for the rest of the season tonight. It should be fun.
Absolutely, and you can find Nez at Nez Takes on Twitter, and he is covering some daily Underdog slates over at neztakes.com.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Thank you for that.
Yeah, we have rolled into that. I don't know we'll do too much talking about daily slates, but definitely go check out the Badge Bros on YouTube. You had a pretty fun guest today. Why don't you shout that out for anybody who might have missed that?
Yeah, we had a new Underdog employee show, Baseball is Dead's Jared Carabas on today. So that was a lot of fun. That was cool. That kind of came together last week in the middle of the week, thanks to us. Sam Berman over at Underdog hit John and I up. Was like, "You guys want to draft with Jared?" We're like, "Hell yeah!" And it
No, I
worked out.
don't.
Yeah, no thanks. That guy. No, so it was awesome. That was a very cool conversation. So very thankful that we had the opportunity to do that today.
Yeah, I tuned in for that. If how much longer is the phrase "tuned in" going to be part of people's vocabulary?
Tuning in. What else? What else are you? What else would you say? I
I
guess
don't know.
because yeah, that is very TV, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's tuning in. We're always tuning in. I'm always logging in, all that stuff.
at some point, or some generation's going to make fun of us for saying that.
They will. They will. They're like, why are you? What do you mean tune in? What are you talking about?
Yeah. As you can see, tonight is a little bit looser than the normal Stacking Dingers show. We had a long draft season this year, longer than we ever had. And even like if you go back, like we've been drafting since last season, if you include football. So with a nice little stop here, and take a look back. What was your a feeling about just general feeling over the whole period?
Yeah. I don't have. I am like I'm jokingly said like yeah recency bias is taking over and whatnot. I'm trying to stay level headed about some stuff that we've seen thus far. I think the big thing for me is like feeling good because I was very much like at odds with folks in our community. Very smart, sharp folks that draft a lot on Underdog. And I was on one side of the Adolis Garcia debate, and everybody else was on this other side.
Me
So
included.
yeah, right. And it's very early, very early, but so far I am feeling it's hard to not feel good about that one right now.
Yeah, those outfielders in that pocket are feeling good. Like even if you and Trout, Yelich, Harris, actually Nolan Jones hasn't felt good, but like Pete, Vlad, Devers, all kind of all that infield group starting off a little bit cold.
Yeah, that's a good shout with that group. You mentioned Nolan Jones off to a slow start. Uh, I mean, the Rockies in general, man, just look lost. I mean, we knew they would not be good, but I don't think like we could have like fathomed. And I mean, it's early. I'll stop saying that, but it is early. But like, man, there is just like nothing redeeming about that team. Um, get them in cores, maybe things will change, but uh, maybe we should have been drafting more NL West teams because just the ability to play the Rockies more than anybody else seems to be a pretty big boost.
Yeah, yeah, we have definitely the basement teams are basementing already. Um, I guess looking back at the whole draft season, I feel encouraged, like super encouraged where we went. Like we filled the bullpen contest, and then we filled the dinger like a day early, or maybe it might even been more than 24 hours. I can't remember exactly, but
Yeah, I think it was a little bit more than that.
that's super awesome. Like obviously, it's frustrating when people are drafting football contests with twice the first prize as the dinger. Like as the baseball fans, that's uh, discouraging. But it's encouraging in the fact that we filled the dinger at double the prize pool of last year.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good sign. We'll take that. And with the addition of, the podcasts, with the Underdog kind of having this like side media, company, like, that they kind of are running and helping to gather some new customers through through those acquisitions. I think that could lead to some more expansion into the games. I mean, it's been so fun already, just like post draft, and I mean it's early, but just to like look at your teams right now is just I mean it's just such a fun sweat, and best ball just is like tailor made for baseball, man. I mean, I still do the managed stuff on the side with
Yeah,
my buddies, but like, man, best ball for MLB is just like where it's at.
yeah. I mean, where most people seeing this, we don't have to uh, encourage to play baseball, but like it can't be said enough like how many people like have a connection to baseball that are like into fantasy sports. Like most people played it as a kid, or their family has a local team that, whatever state they live in, or whatever, maybe they have a triple A team if you're in Iowa, or whatever it is. But like as much as baseball is, at one point America's sport, we're not so far removed from that the people that are really in tune with sports still have that connection to baseball, even if it's fallen off. And like like those people are never going to play regular fantasy baseball. Like if they, like playing that's not going to get them watching baseball again. But this will. I'm super convinced that best ball will get you back into baseball. And I mean, anecdotally, but we know multiple people that we talk to online that has been the case.
Yeah, it's great to see. I want the game does feel like it is growing, just from like a macro sense. The league, despite its best efforts to just like do the wrong things over and over and over again, there is so many storylines. There's so much to watch and pay attention to in the league right now. It's a really fun time. I really do think that there is like a lot of very fun, exciting players right now that are coming up and just showing out in ways that we really have never seen before, and that will be good for the game just organically.
Yeah, and one of those things is a bunch of fun young players, and not just that. With a few exceptions, Jackson Holiday and Paul Skeens getting the sent down to AAA. With those, like they're the minority now. The guys that we expect to be on clubs this year made clubs, and like that was a big change for me this year in terms of my drafting. Like if you told me last year, much like 2 years ago, if you told me I was drafting Jackson Churio and um, Wyatt Langford and feeling okay about it as I was doing it, uh, I would call you crazy.
You've come a long way. You've come a long way. It makes me proud. I mean, like you can. That is a change with the league, though, too. I mean, like
Right,
you've seen it and adapted and it started drafting, but like that is something that we are seeing now. The league is being more lenient and being much more aggressive with their prospects, and that's just great for the game.
right. Yeah, because like as much as people, love Justin Turner, but the way that the, you know, and maybe this is a negative, but the way that teams are signing those guys now, you're never going to get attached to them because they're getting these 1 year deals and moving around to wherever whatever the need is for those players. So like um, maybe that's bad. Like some of those players aren't going to be around, but then again, there's still teams like the Padres that are signing, you know, I mean, long deals for Xander Bogart. So you have you have the ability to get attached to the guys on some teams.
Yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't worry too much about fans and what I mean. Some teams are just what they are, but um, yeah, it is like a good point that there are some of those 1 year deals do kind of like hurt with that. But there's other young stars too, like you said. Like the whole point of that is that teams are extending these young stars and becoming faces, like new faces of the franchise very quickly.
It it will be interesting for a team like Baltimore, who is not a team that goes out and spends. I mean, they have a new owner. What whatever happens there happens. But the idea that if they stick on this path, how many of these young guys are going to stick around for a long time? Should be interesting because they haven't signed anybody. They haven't done the thing where they sign the extension like for Holiday or Henderson. Um, like the Braves are the prime example of getting in early on these guys that think can be superstars, signing them long term.
I know. I don't even like Adley, right? He doesn't even have an extent. Did he get an extension?
I
I don't
can't
think so,
remember.
right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, they
So
haven't done that with any of those guys, which is very, very interesting. Uh, we just got a trade.
a
Br-
trade, breaking news.
Little breaking news on the pod. You're seeing this uh,
I don't
last
have
night.
anything open, so you're gonna have to tell me.
Well, it's the Pirates.
What?
They have traded for Joey Bart.
Oh, really?
Hmm, interesting.
Interesting. Breaking news. Joey Bart, safe to say, failed high prospect catcher for the Giants. He
Yeah,
was going to be the next Buster Posey.
I wonder who they have to give up for that. I mean, because he was DFA'd,
Yeah,
and then
can't be much.
no, it really can't be much. That's interesting. The Pirates have doing. They never do stuff. It's so wild.
Yeah. Let's maybe we can get into uh, our exposures a little bit later. But since we're on it, Pirates, let's talk about our undefeated NL Central teams, the Brewers and the Pirates. Um, that's pretty fun. Let's bask. I feel like we did a show last year over on my channel, the Sheep Seats, where you came on, and it was on that Pirates hot run that
Mm,
kind of, we'll say, cooled off, to say the
I'll have to
least.
look back on that. That's probably hilarious.
Well, you were excited. We were excited, but here we are again, starting off hot. Um, I guess. How are you feeling?
I feel different than I did last season. I liked the start of last season, and I did like the team, just riddled with injuries at like soon after that hot start. Immediately like tempered my expectations after Cruz got hurt. Well, this season, like I don't have to squint that hard to see like a division winner because the division is not that good. As far as what they do after that, like I don't really care. Like I would just want to see the Pirates be in contention for the division. I just think that would be awesome, and I think that they can do it. I am totally uh, a believer of what they have going on right now, and like with Skeens on the cusp of being a major league pitcher, with Jared Jones showing out how he did. I mean, that the pitching was my biggest concern. I didn't have any concerns with the lineup and the bats. I thought the offense was going to be able to hold its own for sure. It was the pitching that was my issue. And I mean, they still have Bailey Falter as the number 5 starter, which like that's he's just keeping the seat warm
Just
for
egregious.
it's just it's so bad. It's so bad. But like even before Skeens comes up though, like they have like Domingo Herman, who I don't love, but will probably like make an appearance at some point. Uh, They have Eric Lauer as well, your boy, who is in the minors as well. Just hanging out. So they have like rotational pieces for that number 5 spot until Skeens is ready to come up. Because I'm I'm okay with him starting
Yeah.
in AAA, and just and that way you can like slowly ramp him up because he does need to ramp up. I don't think people like most people realize, but not everybody realizes that to be a full fledged major league starter is hard, and it's you really need to be careful with these arms. So all that to say, man, I love everything that's going on there. Key Brian Hayes looks great. Uh, I think Henry Davis is coming around. He had 2 doubles just yesterday against the Nationals. I'm excited to see him really show some good results. But I think the story is Hayes right now. I think Hayes is really going to put himself on the map if he can keep up what he's been doing. He just looks so comfortable at the plate right now, not chasing a lot, being patient, making good contact, pulling the ball, just doing what he left off doing last season, which was like the whole thesis to the play. We'll show the exposures later on, but I'm thrilled about that. So I'm very excited for the Pirates. Where are you at with your Brew Crew? Taking off to a little hot start.
Yeah. So I mean, number one, the Mets are gonna stink again this year. Like that was their first series, and they looked bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, man, I'm encouraged that the offense is scoring runs and that like these like Oliver Dunn, Bryce String, these guys are getting hits. That I mean, I didn't even know who Oliver Dunn was until he made the team. To be
His
perfectly
name is
honest,
literally Livy Dunn. It is. He is Paul Skeen's girlfriend.
he's a little bit taller, I think.
Just a little.
Um, but so that's encouraging. Reese being there in the middle of the lineup is like, uh, it's a strikeout, it's a grounded double player, or it's a home run. So like, um, I feel so much better about that. Um, being that anchor and the way that they're forming lineups right now is not. I guess maybe it's what I expected when we were first talking about which outfielders it made sense to draft on the team.
Right.
Um, but they're going super platoon uh, heavy on stuff. So um, I think that's good. It's bad for our Sal Frelick picks. Um,
Yeah, I thought he was going to start against lefties. I didn't think he was going to sit. I thought he'd be like the 9 hole. I didn't think he was going to sit against lefties. So maybe he needs to kind of work his way there, let him get hot, and then give him a shot against lefties. I was a little surprised by that. I thought he was a lock,
Yeah,
to be honest.
especially when Garrett Mitchell was injured. It was like, oh well, now Sal kind of has to play every day, but they're playing guys like Blake Perkins and Oliver Dunn. So I'm in. I'm worried that those guys are going to struggle together. Or like there's not the pieces to pick up the end of that lineup. Um, in general, if they're all struggling and if they're doing that much platooning, it's
Right.
easy. I don't know to all go downhill together in sort of like then you're just you're relying on the Yelich, Contreras, Adames, Hoskins grouping for
Which isn't a
everything.
bad grouping. I mean, like
Yeah,
you can get it done with that. I mean, I like that they have. I mean, I think Churio will eventually find himself outside of the 9 hole, obviously against righties. But I think it's fine to do that right now,
yeah,
and just like kind of slow play him. But I mean, once he starts going and gets hot with the core of that lineup, that I mean, they're really they're pretty intriguing lineup. I mean,
yeah,
they're not formidable, but they're I mean, they're good. I think they're good.
yeah. The bigger question for me is the pitching staff now. Like Freddie, get your Cy Young Freddie Betts in before the odds change. I think maybe it's too late for that. He might not be great value. But um, after that, it is just a wasteland. Like uh,
Yeah.
DL Hall did not look good. in that first start.
Yeah.
Like they won, and he survived, but just he did not the strike. There was no strikeouts there. Yeah, so I was concerned in general about him being a long term starter just based on how many, his history of like 70 innings, 100 innings, 80 innings. Like he's never really done it, even in the minors. So like I have big concerns on his sustainability as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, Colin Ray, Jacob Junis, like they got through, but like,
I've always been a Junis guy. I mean, he's not someone that you're thrilled to have in your rotation, but I think Junis is like. I mean, I don't know if the coaching staff can like keep him, not imploding on the mound.
yeah,
I think he's intriguing. I've always been a Junis guy, and you've got Joe Ross on the mound. I think tomorrow or Thursday,
I
or is it
think, yeah,
Thursday?
sometime might be tomorrow. He's number 5.
I'm excited to see. Dude, he's been out for like 2 years, but I always liked him as a starter. I'm excited to see what he can do.
I don't know if I liked him. I would play him as a DFS punt play occasionally because nobody was playing him when he was in Washington. But sure.
I just remember
Um,
streaming him for like 3 weeks straight and him not letting me down.
okay, okay. Um, and then actually the bad. Well, Wade Miley's going to hit a rehab start, but I don't foresee him sticking in there. I see him having a lot of IL stints throughout the season just to keep him just the way he has been going. But
Yeah, I mean he's firmly in the rotation if he's healthy, though. I mean,
oh
obviously
yeah,
it's not. I mean, it's not hard to find your way in there, but
right. But the biggest disappointment for me is actually Robert Gasser, one of the prime young guys. He has bone spur in his elbow, so I think elbow knee. He's got a bone spur,
mhm,
and he's out indefinitely. And he was the guy that like I was thinking. He's the one with the most hype
interesting.
coming up next, and I actually just saw that today, and they don't have any timetable on him, so that's not great news. But they still have Aaron Ashby hanging out, and Jacob Mizorowski. So there's some guys there, but yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking at Gasser right now on Fangraphs. Yeah, he very promising. Do you remember? It looks like you guys got him in a trade.
sure. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember which
I
one
don't
that I
remember
wasn't
which one.
sure. Uh, maybe that was that
I can't
the
remember.
the lefty, the relief. Why can't I not think of like the Josh
Josh
Hader?
Hader, was it part of the
Yeah,
Josh Hader?
it might have been. Anyways, yeah, I mean, he looks good. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
shame that he has that bone spur, but at least it's not like something else, like a
right.
tendon or anything.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah, for sure. And then, yeah, so that's my Brewers update. uh, I'm happy that it should be competitive a little bit. And like you said, the division is up for anyone. The Cardinals have already shown that they might just be more of last year.
Which would just make me so happy.
Oh yeah, enjoy it. Like, I'd be sad. The only thing I'd be sad about is I love Paul Goldschmidt, but you know, to see him on another, maybe they trade him. How about that? He can go to another team and I can cheer for him.
There you go.
Um,
Seems
but
likely.
so yeah, and the Cubs, Reds both look exactly what we expected. Justin Steele injury stinks. I in my head canon, that injury is bad karma for Craig Counsell.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, just
That's exactly what it is.
get it out of the way right here at the beginning of the season, and then you know they can come back. But yeah, I'm happy. Um, yeah. Anything else you want to talk about before we hit into these exposures? I think.
No, I won't. I won't make people suffer through any more Pirates talk. I mean, you're going to get more of it when you look at these exposures. So
Yeah, and well, I feel like when we started drafting, you were out on Pirates. So what
kinda,
happened? Kind of.
kinda, yeah. I was out on Mitch, and then I was like thinking about the starters and everything, and then I ended up like getting more into him because he was becoming like my SP 2 and 3
Yeah.
on a lot of my teams. So I was like, well, I need pitching at this range, and he was right around the range where I started to draft pitching. So I end up getting more Mitch Keller. I hope that he can regain some of that his prime form last season. I do think that he's going to be very, hot and cold
Yeah.
again this season, and really just want him to stay healthy and have some good starts. So got a lot of him. That was, me getting excited for the Pirates season too. A little bit of that creeping into my draft process. Chris, I did not when we started talking too, I did not have like more than 2 shares of Christopher Sanchez, I think. And yeah, that changed in a hurry.
Yeah. If you are listening to the audio version or whatever, we are looking at our dinger exposures right now. We're starting with Nez's pitcher exposures. Christopher Sanchez up there with Mitch Keller as your second most. So that started after we did the pitching episode with Tuma.
Shamelessly, yes. Tuma, he first put out a tweet and it was like, this is egregious, and it was like Christopher Sanchez being below like Paul Skeens and other guys like undrafted territory. So I was like, okay, this guy's not getting drafted. And then I looked back at his season long stats, looked back at some of his starts, and I was like, okay, this is like this. There's something here. This guy's good. And I was drafting a lot of pitchers in this range and was doing like JP Sears at the time, and I was like, I need to mix this up. I cannot just be taking JP Sears over and over. So I made a hard left, started drafting Kyle Harrison, started drafting Christopher Sanchez, and started drafting Jack Flaherty at major clips. Like almost, I mean, I would say a quarter of my teams have, or even more, have like 2 or more of those guys that were 19, 18, 20th round picks.
Yeah. And Grayson up there at the top, just your tried and true the whole way through.
Yeah, I love Grayson, man. I just think he's so good, and he got off to a good start. It was one start, but just really just hoping for health when it comes to pitchers, man. I just want these guys to stay healthy. I'll
Yeah.
take the ups and downs. Just please give me good innings, especially in the playoffs, please.
Yeah. For me on Grayson, I think I said it on J Train stream. The thing I love about Grayson is his body type. Like he is the classic workhorse body type pitcher, and like when it came time, like when it started, like Grayson Rodriguez versus Yuri Perez, like that's sort of where they both started, and
Mm-hmm.
like to me it was like I want to go with this guy that tossed a bunch of innings last year and looks like a guy that can go a bunch of innings.
Yeah, he's a horse, man.
Yeah.
He's got it.
You have Cole Reagan's hiding out there up towards the top. Definitely one that we landed on opposite sides, and I don't feel great about it.
I cooled off. I was way more than 18% for a while. And then as he got more expensive, then I tailed off my my heavy exposure on Reagan's. The price ended up like it was like 80s and 70s sometimes in drafts. And
Yeah,
I was like, I'm never gonna get to him at this point. So I was glad I got it when I did. I do wish I had a little bit more because yeah, he still looks good.
yeah, for sure. Um, oh, you do have Paul Skeens hiding out here at 20%. You're ready for the come up. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, for me, it's just that as much as I got into the the guys, the hitters that are young and pushing to the majors, I did not get to Paul Skeens too much.
Yeah, I can't blame you. I mean, I don't know when we're gonna see him, but just as long as he's there in the playoffs when I really need him, I will be
Yeah,
happy and love what I've seen from him in spring training and obviously in AAA. Like that's what he should be doing. Part of the thesis is if he's killing it in AAA, they're gonna have no choice at some point. I'm okay with the slow play on him, so hopefully I don't have to wait too much longer. That's all I can say.
yeah. I think the one guy I did start taking some flyers on, that is in AAA right now, is AJ Smith-Shawver, with the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I feel like there's a lot of room for them to need some decent innings out of him this year. And he's got the strikeout upside. So that is the one guy I got, but he was like a 23rd round pick, and I mean Paul Skeens was for a long time too. So definitely feel good to get him there. And then he did start get a little more popular.
Yeah, interestingly, that he became more expensive, which was when I started to curb that as well. Like once the
Yeah,
steam rose, I was like, all right, you guys can have that. I'll pivot.
yeah. All right, so let's move on here to the infielders. Up at the top, we have your two main squeezes, Cabrian Hayes. Oh, you know what? Actually, I've noticed that you say Key Brian Hayes. Am I
It's
mispronouncing Key
it's
Brian?
yeah, he pronounces it Key Brian, so
Okay.
everybody calls him Key around Pittsburgh.
Okay, so that's something I'll have to work on because we're going to be talking about him a lot this year.
I hope so.
And then the guy who I know you just you took as much as you could, Josh Naylor. He's your guy.
Yeah, uh, not off to like a super hot start, but he's playing a lot, and he's playing against lefties, which like I figured, and I think I don't think was really being taken into account with the playing time that we saw in projections. Maybe they were factoring an injury with that, but in my opinion, I was like, if this guy can stay healthy, he's going to play as much as he can handle. And I knew we hadn't seen a full season out of this guy yet, and I loved the rate stats all projected really well. So would love to see a full season out of Josh Naylor. Still a believer.
Yeah, and Corey Seager is here next. Obviously, you bought the dip on the hernia surgery.
Yeah. It was that when he started to go, like mid second and in later, like I barely let him get past the second round. I mean, I was just like, you know what, I'll pay a little bit of premium. It was a rare opportunity to get overweight this to this extent, a guy that goes top 25. I was just like not going to do that over many other players because like they're all so good. They're all in the first round for a reason, and bad things can happen. And I just wanted pretty even exposure to the first round for the most part, and second round for the most part. But Seager was for me just like I had to have him. And I did actually. It was in the third round a good bit actually,
Yeah,
because I did a lot of like Adolis with Seager. So I'm really excited about that. He's still injury prone, to be honest. So like I'm not like out of the weeds just yet, but I'm glad I did that. I normally would not have done something like that, but I I love Seager, man. So I'm excited about that.
yeah, and he's like one of my favorite players. So I was fine. Like, I something to get better for next year. I did fall off. I did buy into the injury a little bit too much this year, and then I did start pushing him up, into that second round when I got back to drafting, and we saw that he was healthy. So I didn't get the best value on him, but I also have a lot of him just because you
It's
gotta,
still good.
yeah. It means something when was it Baseball Prospectus has made a Seager stat.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
So,
I forget what that entails, but that says something.
right.
That says something.
Yeah. And then Vinny P, O'Neill Cruz here, two young guys, kind of maybe different types of hitters, but two guys here that are part of your core.
Yeah, they're both off to pretty slow starts, so not a whole lot to say here. Cruz is like doing okay. He's facing so many lefties. The Pirates faced like 5 straight lefties to start the season, something crazy. And he's doing okay. He's had some really bad strikeouts. And then Vinny P, just coming off the shoulder surgery, I'm willing to give him a little bit of grace. The Royals seem to have a better lineup than they did last season, so that's exciting. He should have more RBI opportunities for himself there. So those guys I need to have pick up the pace just a little bit, but I'll be patient.
Yeah. Cruz did get, I was in pretty early on him. He got to a price where I couldn't keep taking him.
Yeah, I could not believe how much he rose. I didn't think it was going to be nearly as fast as it was and as aggressive as it was, but yeah, people got excited very very fast.
Yeah. Altuve is Altuve. Eduard Julian, maybe. Oh, man, I don't. The whole Twins lineup, I don't know how to feel about any of the exposure I got to them. It could be good. It could be terrible. Even on the guys that I passed on, it could end up biting. I don't know.
Yeah, I this Julian exposure got lower and lower and lower as the year went on. Quickly just started to, you know, just accept the fact that like, hey, like these guys are not getting the playing time that I think that they are, and despite the players that I think that they are, the playing time just really is not going to be there. It was really when that there was an athletic article that came out that was just basically, you know, confirmed like, hey, we're platooning the hell out of our guys
Yeah.
again, and we stand by it. And there's data that says that it's good. So I was like, all right, I'm out because Julian did not rise in price. He was like the 20th round all season long. So yeah, that was that number was even bigger halfway through like my drafting, and then I got it down to 19.
Yeah, and then you do have Jackson Holiday here.
Yeah.
I, I, I'm not too worried. He'll be up soon.
Yeah, I know. I'm trusting the process there. He'll, like you said, he'll be up soon. It's just a matter of like, I think two things that made me like bearish after I had an originally really strong stance on Jackson Holiday was one, obviously like starting in the minors. It was, rumored, became a reality. And two, like, what's the power going to be like? Because he hasn't shown a ton of like really good power yet as a pro, despite the fact that he has 2 leadoff home runs this year, which is great to see. Love
Yeah,
that. But I was like, okay, I think I'm a little too high on this guy just in general. So I curbed that. I curbed that back because he was going like in the middle of drafts.
yeah. All right, over to the outfield. Um, Henry Davis at the top. Um, I guess I haven't seen how is he the main catcher right now? I haven't really
he
seen
is
his
he
positions.
Yes, he is the starting catcher. They have Jason DeLay as the backup catcher and Yasmani Grandal, who's on the IL. And with this Bart signing, kind of seems like this Grandal injury is more severe than they originally thought. Um, I don't know how much Davis will DH because Kutch is there as he's full time DH. Maybe they'll get him some off days and let Davis hit if Davis becomes a bat that they just simply can't live without. Um, yeah, there's playing time risks there. I mean, my top 3 guys have playing time risk. You don't love that, but they were all really cheap, so there's that.
Yeah, yeah. Sal Frelick, Matt Wallner being the platoon risks there.
Mm-hmm.
The Milwaukee and Minnesota that we sort of talked about already. Um, I think I've said it to you before, but like I don't imagine McCutcheon makes it through a full season just based on his
It, it
previous few
it'd be
seasons.
surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be a surprise.
So you did get into the almost 30% Wyatt Langford club. which is, you only have a strong stance on a player if you have 30%. I've heard, um, and that is, we we're happy with what we got of him.
Man, he's something else. I mean, I don't nobody was talking about the speed that he has. Like he is I don't want to say blazing fast, but like he is very, very fast. So I think we're gonna get some steals that we weren't expecting, along with everything else with that comes with Wyatt Langford in this Rangers offense that is just loaded. So I'm very excited about the bags there and just about Langford and the Rangers. Man, this offense is going to be very, very good.
Yeah, for sure. Really happy with any bits of that. Well, and Young looked like he was going to be a smash.
I feel like he was
Uh,
breaking out.
yeah, it really stinks. Like last year, the injury, he had the spring training kind of stuff, and now a fractured wrist. It really stinks.
Yeah, I haven't seen a prognosis on that yet, but I mean, dang, man, he just can't catch a break. I mean, I think the first one was a left thumb, so at least it's like a different hand, I guess.
Yeah.
Like
So,
there's finding small victories in this.
as we're recording, he was supposed to have surgery tonight on it, but
Oh, okay.
they're saying a 6 week timetable, which is a lot sooner than I would have expected.
Yeah, I think that's good news.
Obviously, a lot of questions on a wrist, like what kind of power you're going to have when you get back. So it still might be mostly a lost year, but hopefully not.
Yeah, anytime before the All Star break would be a victory, in my opinion.
Yeah. So Christopher Morel, probably one of my biggest regrets. Uh, I really got anchored too much to the no position part of his game, like no defensive position, and not a real like uh, clear path to DH. And I think, just looking at daily projections now, I'm wishing I had not faded Morel as I did. So I know that was definitely against almost everything anybody else was saying in the community. So
It's okay. I mean, there could have been somebody else too in his range that you were opting for too. Like you might have a lot of somebody that was going right next to him, and that could have also been a really big part of it for you as well. I haven't looked at any projections yet this season for dailies.
okay,
But Morel. Well, I mean, he's facing Kyle Freeland today.
right,
He's been
yeah,
popping in games prior as well.
yeah, and he's getting good lineup positions. He's projecting with those other guys, and I was taking them, and he was cheaper than all the other guys. So
Hmm.
definitely a mistake by me, I think.
We'll see.
Um, Couple of oatmeal guys. Can I call Evan Carter oatmeal?
He is oatmeal. He's sneaky oatmeal. Yeah, but he's oatmeal. I
But
think he's not. He
Nimmo
doesn't
and
have a lot of power.
yeah, Nimmo and Carter, um, here just like good outfield fielder, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I liked. I was surprised that I ended up with 20% Carter. I thought I was going to have less. It was a bit shocking to see that I ended up with 20% on the season. He hasn't like done anything too special yet, so
Yeah,
he's earning the oatmeal title.
yeah. He is batting against lefties though, where last year he was not even in the lineup against lefties. So that is a good sign when he's getting at bats over Travis Jankowski.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, small bump, but it was a question. It was a question.
Yeah. And then Cole Jordan or Alvarez, his season's, he can't hit a home run anymore. It's over. Both of you and I are got a lot of Jordan Alvarez exposure in that first round. And, there's no way he's gonna heat up.
Yeah, yeah, right. I mean, the slow start is like whatever. I don't even care. I love that. I love that we did that. That felt good. That was one of the things where I'm like, that was the obviously. I mean, we're looking at my exposure. He is the one first rounder that I was like, I need this guy. I need him on my team, and so I did. And it's going to be fun once he starts to heat up. We know what this guy can do when he's hot, and this Astros team is still really good. You know, I don't know, like I don't know, I don't think they're underrated. They had very fair and good prices
Yeah,
on Underdog, but like they are one of the best lineups in baseball, and Alvarez is
absolutely.
hitting two there, so that's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. The hitting second is just awesome. Like,
Yeah,
because
needed that.
that's a team I stack a lot in daily drafts, like for the
Mm-hmm.
last 3 years, just because they're always projecting. You know,
Always.
Tucker, Alvarez are against a righty are just like always in the top 10, no
Mm-hmm.
matter who the righty is. So I'm always stacking them and watching games this year, and you're refreshing, like jumping. I don't know if you do this, but I'm jumping around to
Oh
whoever I
yeah.
have is up to bat, like different games. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
and I'm getting to Alvarez so much sooner than waiting for that fourth and then waiting for Kyle Tucker to be six. Like
Mhm.
it's just great.
You're lucky. I'm in Dallas, so I don't get the Rangers, but I also don't get the Astros for some reason. Like they're considered in market for me too, so that's a bummer. I have to just like do the game day 3D thing and watch Jordan that way. Watch a 3D blob of him hitting things one of these days.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you get it on the big inning when that's going
I
on.
do get it on the big inning.
Yeah,
That's when he's up on the big inning. I love that.
yeah. And if you're not out there, if you have, I think Apple TV or MLB.TV subscription, they do the big inning. If you haven't heard about that, it's red zone adjacent.
Yeah, it's like 1-to-1. Not maybe not exactly 1-to-1, but it is MLB red zone, and it's really good. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you can probably turn the sound off for the guy that they have doing it.
He's grown on me. I
Okay.
did not like him. Was not a fan. But he's grown on me because I'm like now that like I know his personality. Uh, he's just kind of like guessing what the stats were for like a guy earlier in the game. Like Spencer Steer had a grand slam. Some play in this game.
Okay.
Uh, I mean, he's just like it's goofy. No, but when I first listened to him, he was like annoying me. But he grew on me.
Yeah, I don't know. Lately, this year he's been like, because they must have an odds sponsor, so he's like explaining random betting concepts every once in a while now. Like, you got to lay $600 to win $100. Nobody
I
talks
can
like that.
I can hear him saying this the way that you. Oh my gosh.
Um, but yeah, that's excellent. And first round, you do have Aaron Judge peeking out there
Oh, nice.
at
Yeah.
15%.
Judge had a dip, and I bought it. Nothing to like really show for it results wise yet. He's off to a slow start as well,
Yeah.
but yeah, little Aaron Judge action there.
All right. So we don't need to spend a super long time on my exposures. I guess I spent a little longer than I meant to on yours. But I have all three up here. My biggest owned guy, Shota Imanaga, 36%. So
That is
the
awesome.
the big thing for me this year was the forced break in drafting, the week and a half to 2 weeks that I missed as I was out of the country and did not want to find workarounds. I was busy working, but um, the big thing for me this year was the difference between drafting before and after that period. Um, like I felt like going into that period, I was drafting the same guys, even as the ADPs were rising on them. We saw
Uh
a
huh.
lot of pitchers rise in ADP. Like all the 20th round pitchers that we liked at the beginning got picked out by, the field got sharp on a lot of those guys and brought them up.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with outfielders. I feel like all the good outfielders got pulled out of any sort of late round ability to take them. So I was doing a lot of chasing up before that period. Then when I got back, I feel like I did make a better adjustment and sort of recalibrated where I was taking guys. So um, I ended up being a lot flatter than I expected uh, prior to that break. And I think that is purely because my targets changed between those two periods.
That makes sense. There was a big time shift, man. I felt it too. I didn't really have a break, but I was doing a lot of slows in conjunction with my fast drafting, and I felt the shift too, and I adjusted too. I pivoted when and it was hard to keep up. It changed pretty fast. So I totally agree with like that sentiment. Um, the Shota exposure was just is just so awesome. Like I was surprised that you like the thesis to that for that play for you. And correct me if I'm wrong. Was like you were on it early and was like and you were expecting steam, right? You thought he would rise, and then like he just like never rose. So you
Yeah,
just like kept pounding him,
yeah,
and I mean looks great. Looks great right now. We'll see in the windy, warm,
yeah,
wriggly summers how he holds up because he has the reputation of being a fly ball pitcher, but like, hey man, he'll take a home run here and there if he's going to strike, if he's going to be one of the more prolific strikeout throwers in all starting pitchers in baseball. So that was, I wish I had more. That's a big regret because like, man, that you could just see that coming.
yeah. And for me, the other part of it was that there was so much unknown that I didn't think was being factored into his price. I felt like he was too cheap for the potential upside. I didn't know
Exactly.
if it was there with the fly ball things. I still don't know. I don't like. I think if you go back and look at that start uh, on a warmer day, that even that start could have gone differently. Um,
Yeah, I think I was clinging too hard to that because like I couldn't tell you. I mean, there's no like projections for fly ball rates, but like I couldn't tell you like where he is at with other fly ball pitchers or who some of those other fly ball pitchers are for that matter. I will be very honest. So
yeah,
it's like why like I clung to that too hard, and just thinking about like a windy Chicago day, and I was like, ah man, I don't know, but if they're in the inevitable mid-season best ball tournament that we will get, I'm sure I will be FOMOing my way into Shota.
yeah, and it also, the other guys he was going, it was like at 140 or so for a long period of time.
Yeah.
I just didn't, I did not see the high end outcome. We're drafting him, in the fifth, sixth round next year. I saw that potential compared to most of the other guys. There was like maybe they'd be a few rounds better. Maybe there's one other one that could surprise us, but yeah, he just felt. Uh, you know, I didn't know the outcome. I still don't, but he just
Hmm.
felt like he had an upside. Yeah, and then I'm there with Grayson with you. Um, Chased him. I did keep taking him even though he rose in ADP. Um, and then I did not get the best price on this Bryce Miller, but uh, just that was a more of a mistake. Um, I was worried about uh, I don't know, just what Seattle was going to do, and I didn't read the signs well enough um, until it was too late. But
He never really got too pricey though. Like he was in that range where like there was no difference between him and like guys taking 40 picks after him or whatever,
right,
so like I think you still pivoted in a correct fashion.
yeah, and the way I was building it was such that at that point it was like taking an infielder, uh, where even when he was at the top of his price, and those infielders like I could compare to the guys I could get in the 23 round and feel just as comfortable about that, like that one for one exchange for taking, spending that price on Bryce Miller and taking an infielder later. I could justify that.
Yep, that's exactly what I was doing toward the end of my drafts.
Yeah. So Zach Eflin did not look. He pitched again today, right?
Yeah, he looked good today.
Okay, yeah. So he not looked good the first one, but definitely may have gone a little bit overzealous on him. I know, um, projections liked him for Roto especially, uh,
Yeah,
and I feel like comparing, like if you look at the George Kirby price, who was another better in Roto sort of pitchers potentially, strikeouts there maybe are on the up and up this year, but I just felt like the price wasn't correct for Eflin compared to how he's being treated in other formats. But then the other two guys here who fit that Grayson Rodriguez model is Bobby Miller and Hunter Brown. Just two guys that pitched a bunch of innings last year, and I didn't know like any of those three guys could have like shown struggles this year, and they still can. But I was really big on the second year guys that had pitched a bunch last year
hmm
and had good stuff.
no, I think that was a good process. I mean, you showed the ability to stay healthy, and you flashed like really high upside. That was 100% the the cliff notes to evaluating like good pitching value this season, like 100%. So you should be happy with that.
Yeah, and the further down here, I did buy into the Shane Bieber spring. Like all of
Yeah.
this Shane Bieber exposure came
Oh,
after.
I have like none. I have like zero Shane Bieber. That's that. This could hurt. This could hurt because I used to be a Shane Bieber guy. I
I
had
never was, so
I when he it was the Mickey Mouse Cy Young in 2020,
right.
but I had him as a future on that for plus 2,000. So like former Bieber guy, and then and then last season just completely just scorned me, and I'm like, nope, he's done. But hashtag he went the drive line, and look at this guy. I mean, yeah, one start, but I think he's doing okay tonight so far.
Yeah. And then the other guy that I got on at the end was Frankie Montas there.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
And
He looked good.
part of that was after, when the Reds announced him as the opening day starter, like that said a lot to me what they thought he was going to be this year. Like
Me too.
giving between that and giving him money, like that changed my opinion on the potential of last year, the injuries and stuff.
Yeah, it said a lot for me.
All right, infield, Machado and Seager will. I guess those guys are up at the top here. We talked about Seager already, but Machado was a guy who I tweeted it out like even after we saw that he was healthy, his price never rose. So I just kept grabbing him.
That's a fun one. And I see you got a good bit of Tatis there. We'll get to the outfield, but to pair with that,
Yeah.
yeah, I always wish I had more Machado like every season. I watch him hit and I'm like, why was I fading this guy? Like
Well,
what?
yeah. I mean, nobody likes Manny Machado. That's really the thing when it comes down to.
It's true. It's true. He doesn't really have a, demeanor that makes you want to draft him, I guess.
Yeah, and like for me this year, like or last year, we were taking him. We were making the decision. Pete Alonso, Rafael Devers, Manny Machado. Those guys were all going like back to back to back. And to me, he's the oldest out of that group, and obviously has the biggest health risk based on the surgery and stuff. Um, that's why I understand why he started back. But to me, as I was kept picking him, I kept telling myself, I'm getting a, 2-3 turn pick here of last year potentially this year. So
That's a good way at it. Like not much changed with him.
yeah, um, yeah. So then we got both Will Smith and Max Muncy here, Teoscar Hernandez, and over on the outfield, and James Outman. This I'm calling the well. I just love Will Smith, so I'm gonna always take him I just love watching him. I think he's just an excellent hitter. Um,
Yeah.
I'm calling this the Braves thesis from the previous year. Um, so something that I kind of learned, I don't know if I learned, I wanted to try more of this year than I had in previous years is that came from looking at or like looking back at the Braves' ultimate season of last year
Mm-hmm.
and saying to myself, when I'm drafting, when I start a draft, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure you do something similar. I think a lot of people do. When I start a draft, I make, my first three hitter picks. I'm thinking about stacking those teams. Like usually those guys are from elite offenses, even if they're not from an elite offense, a lot of times as you're drafting, you're thinking about stacking those teams that you start with. So thinking last year on how the Brave season went, like even if you didn't start with those guys and you just were taking these late stacks of the other parts of that lineup, you would have benefited. Like the Ozuna, even Matt Olson, the price on Matt, like it was early, but like it was later than when he returned. But like just making a stack of an excellent team,
Mm-hmm.
but not anchoring it on anything.
Yeah, just like it doesn't matter what my team looks like. I am prioritizing anybody on said team. And yeah, I feeling a little regretful being off the Will Smith as off as I was, as much as I was, just because I was very concerned about the lack of DH
Yeah,
opportunities there. But like, man, in a 1 week sample, Will Smith, in 5 games can crack your lineup and give you points on a team vying for first place in the best ball finals. Like that's just it's just the facts. Like in a 1 week sample, he can do that, and this lineup is so ridiculous. And he's hitting fourth. I mean, I'm making up for it because anytime that he's starting, I'm drafting him in dailies. I'm
yeah,
getting a lot of Will Smith in
yeah,
dailies anytime that he's starting.
yeah. So that's sort of getting two of those guys together. I was fine with that as just like a small stack in a lineup, and I wanted to do that more this year, uh, and I did. Um, so then, just sort of, I do have Cabrian there at 12%. Key Brian,
Nice.
uh, Bo Bichette got into this, because he kept fall. He had a fall in
Mm-hmm.
ADP and is very similar to the Machado. Like I'm getting perhaps a second rounder a few rounds later. So he was a late surger in my exposures.
That was sharp. Yeah, I'm starting to see like the light on the Blue Jays because I was off them like for a while, and you know, I'm trying to draft them more in dailies, but like I'm starting to see the light with the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was too cheap, Bichette.
Yep. And then if you look at infield and outfield, I do have my homer picks aren't quite as exposed as yours, but I do have the Sadames, Contreras. Reese Hoskins was a huge bullpen target for me, but I felt like why take Reese Hoskins when I can take Willie Adames and William Contreras later, just based on price. I felt like both of those guys had similar outcomes. And then I do have the Jackson Churio and Christian Yelich exposure. And a lot of times, uh, I was taking one of those two with the expectation of stacking later.
Right. I mean, they were a really easy team to stack. I ended up getting on Reese later in the season. I kind of did the opposite of you, where like I got on Reese late, because I'm like I'm taking a lot of free like, and I wanted to get more Adames, so started to get more Reese in there, and yeah, I mean, Brewers were like I said, just easy to stack. Made sense.
Yeah, I have no idea what that offense does long term. I can see long cold streaks coming just based on previous history of some of these players. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, uh, and then my two highest outfielders, neither of whom I thought were going to be my two highest outfielders at any point during this season.
Yeah.
Michael Harris the second. Man, I've said it, I've talked about it a lot, but I just think he has uh, MVP vote, not MVP win, but MVP vote upside. Uh, maybe not this year, maybe it's next year, but I just like everything about his profile. Hard hit, like the one thing he does have, if he can get a launch angle fix, and maybe he doesn't need to with where he's at in that lineup and it being so strong, but I just think he has that like that Christian Yelich MVP season type of thing, like very similar profile of who they are naturally as a hitter. But like
Right.
I see that potential for him.
Yeah, and like you said, he's part of that Braves thesis. The Braves are still the Braves. He's going to be there every day, and he's going to move up and down depending on like who's on the mound. Then he's not hitting ninth and eighth anymore. He's up to
Right.
sixth, which helps. And sometimes he'll be at two, depending on who gets a day off. So that's a fun one. I mean, anytime that you get like your highest exposed player is a middle of the order hitter on like the best lineup in baseball, you can be excited about that.
Right. My biggest, the biggest struggle is the guys that you're giving up for him. That was what I feel less. I feel great about having him. I feel less great about the guys I was giving up for him. But
Right. Yeah. It's the push and pull of exposures and portfolio management is like it's at the expense of other guys.
yeah. Uh, and then the next one is Jung Hoo Lee. I just, in general, got more bullish on the San Francisco lineup as they added Matt Chapman. Just I don't know. It just felt good. I think Soler is somewhere. No, he's not on this list, but yeah, definitely was taking enough of him to. And Lee just was at a point where uh, I was taking fourth or fifth outfielder, and I wanted an outfielder, and I just felt good adding him as Stephen Kwan, but cheaper.
Exactly, right? Like that type of profile. And he's leadoff and he's hitting leadoff against lefties too. So
Yeah,
you can definitely feel good about Jung Hoo Lee. I'm really excited to see what he does. I loved he hit his first career home run and they gave him the beer shower in the showers. I don't know if you saw that. They
I
put him
missed
in like
that. I'll have to go watch that.
they have like a little like cart basket for like baseballs that they use for batting practice, and they
Yeah,
threw
yeah.
him in there, and then they're like, "What do you got to say?" or something. And he's like, "I love you guys," and then they just like sprayed him down with beer. It was great. It was great. Definitely look that up. It was cool.
Awesome. Yeah, just Riley Green. I don't feel great. Like I'm
No,
very worried. Uh, but I don't know. I just kept taking him a bit, but
I
there's
would
no
I
one
wouldn't
here.
be too worried. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't, and I'm also it's only at 16%. I feel like my outfield is pretty flat in general.
Which I
Um,
think is like a good move for the position. Like I took those stands, some strong stands, mostly cheap, but strong
yeah,
stands. Outfield, I think is definitely like if there was any position I could you told me to be flat on. I could sort of understand pitching being an answer, but outfield, I mean, it's my flattest position. I'm pretty sure outside of those top three.
yeah. But then I did not get super flat at relative on first rounders. So you can see actually a lot of first rounders here in my outfield. I have Tatis at 16, uh, Jordan at 14, Julio at 12.8, and then peeking up there at the bottom, Shohei at 11.6. Obviously, I've absolutely regret being out on Mookie this year. I I just had a sticker shock. The price on Mookie, I was maybe too attached to previous years, but obviously he's not going to hit like this all season. And Tatis has looked good. Um,
Yeah.
Jordan, Otani are kind of cold, and Julio's cold too. So maybe that, you know, missing out on those top tier guys is going to end up biting me in the butt. But the one I feel good about is Corbin Carroll. That fade is starting out. You know, speaking way too early. Um,
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy that he is not on that list.
He was one of my bigger fades as well. I mean, awesome rookie season, has the chance to go on some super, super hot streaks, and especially considering the fact that the Diamondbacks look good as a team. But
Yeah.
yeah, he was like, if I got to choose anybody on this in that first round of fade, it was Carroll for me, fairly easily. You've got more Oscar Hernandez than me. So I mean, you weren't, yeah, you faded Mookie, but like you were still on the Dodgers, and man, oh man, like I why was I not drafting Oscar?
Yeah. So uh, I gotta let me look at it here real quick as we wrap up. But yeah, that was in the bullpen. I have 30% Tasker.
Oh,
So
that is so awesome.
that was before he signed, I was way in, and then he rose to like pick 50 instead of pick 80 or whatever. But I still grabbed him as part of those Dodger stacks.
Yeah, that is that is amazing, man. In the dinger, I ended up with 10 shares of Oscar, and that's it.
Yeah.
Little
Well,
below average.
I only have 11, but I drafted less teams than you.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so that's our exposures. I don't know if anybody cares about it anymore at this point in the draft season, but what before we close, what's your biggest positive surprise and biggest negative surprise so far in the this week?
Biggest positive surprise, I think, as far as like who's performing well.
Anything, teams, players.
I mean, it's got to be my Pirates. Like, it's the first thing that's come to mind. I can't really think of anything else. Like, this is like they faced a bad Marlins team, but it's what you're supposed to do if you're a good team. You're supposed to beat the
Yeah,
teams you're supposed to beat. So, definitely excited about that. The negative surprise, I mean, just Oakland and Colorado. Like, I don't think the White Sox are good either, but like I think that there is a tier between them and Oakland and Colorado. I mean, Oakland and Colorado are just it's upsetting to have them in the
yeah,
league right now. They are make no bones about it. They are not competing this season. There's just no hope there. At least with the White Sox, like they have like a competent lineup. Like it's not the best, but it's competent, especially if Eloy is in it. And Crochet, like how about him as a little surprise story?
yeah,
Like he pitched very well tonight. The White Sox got the win against the Atlanta Braves on the back and the arm of Garrett Crochet. So I mean, they've got like a couple things to be excited about there. Can't say the same about Oakland and Colorado, man. So those are my answers. What about you?
yeah. So the biggest positive surprise is the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
So the sweep of the Astros, like obviously it's early. We've given that caveat enough, but
But
that was a team that I think they're still potentially thin, pending a big injury.
I think so
But
too.
Volpe showing up so far, and just Soto tying it together is it's more that like I I expect when we talked to Cardi, we talked about how people are probably underrating the Yankees, but I'm surprised to see them come out and show that right away. So
Yeah,
that's
and
probably the
Judge
biggest.
hasn't even been that good.
Right. Yeah.
Like, wait till he gets hot too. I mean,
Yeah.
people have been saying like Juan Soto, and by people I mean talking heads, the national
Right.
media. Juan Soto is a perfect fit in this Yankees lineup. Like, where isn't he a perfect fit? Like, it's Juan Soto, but like, it really is such a good fit to have hitting right in front of Aaron Judge. I mean, good lord. Aaron Judge right now, 18 WRC plus on the season so far. Dare we call him a bust?
maybe, maybe him and Jordan
Yeah, what's going on there?
busts, busts. So, and I don't know if it's a surprise, but the negative, the biggest negative thing for me, outside of those teams that really stink, is what am I trying to think of? The Marlins. They have like they're even drafting dailies. Berger and Jazz are both projecting really well, but they have just started out flat. And maybe it's already the opposite of last year where they got pretty lucky and 1-run games and all that. But
Hmm.
that's a team that just hasn't.
They don't strike me as a good team, and it's tough because I mean they don't pair well. They don't like synergize well. Like let's say the Braves. I mean the Braves synergize well against everybody. Maybe not the best example, but if there's a lefty on the mound and it's not Garrett Crochet, you have so many good right-handed bats for the Braves that you want to stack up. If you have like a righty on the mound um against the Marlins. Like, yeah, you have Jazz and you have like Josh Bell as a lefty who I'm talking about Josh Bell here. And then you have there's not a lot of other like strong lefties. And then when you have a righty on the mound, or a lefty on the mound rather, now that's like a bad matchup for Jazz. Josh Bell is not as good as a righty as he is as a lefty. And then and then it's good for Berger. But like they don't I mean, and that's just a fantasy thing. That's not like a team construction thing. Like you shouldn't be building your real major league teams to like do well against one type of hitter. But just for us in fantasy, it's hard to like find like a good spot for the Marlins, really.
Yeah, and the other thing that is a big negative is this Angels lineup that they keep rolling out. This Rendon Hicks 1-2. Like, what are they doing?
Why?
I They need to just get those young guys hitting in those positions and get Renhefo. If Renhefo is healthy and he's not in this lineup right now, it's ridiculous. I know
Yeah,
he's
it need
nothing like superstar. Yeah, he's not even a star, but running out Aaron Hicks in the 2 spot every day is not it.
like Trout should be one or two, no question. Like Ward should be like one, two, or three. Get one of those young guys up there as well, like you mentioned. I mean, it's just like, what are they doing? What are they
Oh,
like Rendon leadoffs? Like I joked about it. I think it's like punishment. It's like you don't love your job. Well, now you're gonna work even more. Like you have the most ABs on the team. Congratulations, you're leadoff. Like what?
yeah,
I guess
and
they have to play him. He's
no, they have to play him, but like they don't have to lead him off. And
they
like
don't.
Hoppy batting, he should be like batting fifth, and he's
Yes,
batting seventh or eighth or whatever. Like
he's one of their best hitters.
yeah, it's ridiculous. Sorry. I guess I didn't want to end on a negative note, but
No,
there
it's
we
all
are.
right. I mean, it is what it is. It is
Yeah,
what it is. We had enough fun.
the Angels are the Angels, like, no matter what at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately.
All right, so that is our show. Um, Honestly, don't know what the plan is, but we'll keep bringing you stuff here on Stacking Dingers. Trying to work on potentially. I know Chris wants to run some, some futures type based episodes.
Yeah,
Uh,
that could be
so
fun.
so maybe I'm starting to do a little bit of reaching out on maybe some guests for those sort of things, but
Nice.
we'll do a couple of those here across the season is the plan. Um, Honestly, don't know what regularity we'll get the show out to you, but us will talk baseball at any point in the season, so we'll come together. And for sure, once we get that mid-season tournament and Numi drops that, we'll be coming back to you regular. So appreciate you
Yeah,
sticking through the hiatus for a few weeks on this show, and we'll be coming at you throughout the season. So hope everybody enjoys the season and sweats their teams every day because for me, there's nothing better.
nothing better.
All right, so
Thanks,
for
Sheep.
Nez and myself, that is the end.